Let's go.
Guess who's back? Back again. Kevin's back. Tell your friends. Guess who's back? 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 Da-na-na.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for the welcome to the. Oh, Richie, at least it's a good situation to be back, mate. Loads of good stuff to talk about.
Well, welcome everyone to the emergency meeting. I had to call this emergency meeting and I had to bring the big gun Kev in to the show. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I want to know what is going on at Aston Villa at the moment. I don't even know where to start. Is it recruitment? Is it on the pitch? Is it tactics? Is it players? Is it regulations and rules? And are we in trouble? I want to get your comments in. We've got comments flooding in already. And I'll talk about some of the comments that I had from some of my rants that I've had over the last couple of days as well. There's quite a few people, maybe a little bit more extreme than me. But I want to know your thoughts, Kev. First of all, great to have you back on the pod. I know you've had a busy time of it. People have been asking for you. So, first of all, tell us how you are, and then the mic is yours.
Mate, I'm all good. One of my favourite quotes is that famous Chinese proverb, which is fall down 7 times, stand up 8. And I've certainly been doing that. It's actually a good metaphor for what Villa should be doing at the moment, actually. As in, whatever happens, you got to get back up again. And yeah, I've been super busy, but I'm all good. I've missed the pod. I've missed the pod family. I've also missed goals from my football team. I've missed good performances. I've missed cohesion. I've missed everything. So, yeah, it's great to be back. And everyone kind of knows me as the really uber positive guy, probably on the pod. I know we've had a lot of good stuff over the years, a lot of positivity over the years, and it's funny, It's really funny because I was saying to my kids, particularly my lad, who's like really into the Villa, 11 years old. I've said to him a few times, a football fan. I remember saying it to him when I took him to Man City away, both my kids, when obviously we really lost our chance to sort of have it in our hands properly. I know it was in our hands against Man United, but it would have been like, if we'd lost that game, if we got a result against Man City, it would have been okay. Obviously the Palace game, obviously the Man United game. There was 3 things back in the last season that led to me saying to him, listen, you're going to support your team in the ups and the downs. It's going to happen. You're going to have some of your mates who are going to go and support Real Madrid or Man City, but that's just the life of a football fan. And the life of a Villa fan in recent years, look, we've gone from, the heights of sort of like Martin and Neil knocking on Europe, obviously then all of a sudden it's just terrible. Randy Lerner's era that just goes into a damp squib. We get relegated. We get back up to the Premier League. And then for a few years, it's like, oh my God, we're lucky to be back. Then we brushed that off. It was time to put that to bed now. We've been a Premier League team for a long time. Then we're in Europe. Then we're in proper Europe Champions League. And then out of nowhere, we're the shittest team in the world. And to understand why it's staggering to everybody. But I've got some theories. So if you want me to keep going, I'll keep going. Okay, theory number 1.
Give us theory number 1, and then we can talk it through.
Okay, and this is probably the most controversial one, right? I've loved everything that Emery's done, and I'm not calling for his head, but has it come to a point where his intensity and those long meetings, is it just now not having the effect on the players? Has that almost reached the end of its kind of effectiveness, basically?
A lot of people made those points yesterday, and a lot of people in the comments, after my rant on Saturday and then bit sort of less intense yesterday, a lot of people sort of said that, these 3, I think it's more surmising off the back of John McGinn and a couple of other players' comments saying, it is pretty intense. We do have these long meetings. And then as soon as you start losing games, you're going to look at things, and then maybe because these players have been there so long, is that message getting through? Are they getting a bit bored? Are new players coming in understanding what it's meant to be like? It it could be. There could be an element of that. Unai Emery last season did say he gave the players some days off and some time away from him. But I don't know if I can't really say it is that because they just look such a mess. Like the way that they're playing at the moment, there's clearly some sort of signs that they're trying to change some aspects of the way that they're playing. But for whatever reason, it's not transporting to the players. So you'd think that they'd need more time. You'd think that they'd need more video evidence and studying because it doesn't look like they're watching anything at the moment. And the way that Unai was flapping his hands around and shouting and screaming for players to be in certain positions and to do certain things seems to me like just nobody really knows what they're doing. But there could be an element of that. There could be an element of the message is a little bit stale, or the enthusiasm from some of the players that have been hearing those messages for so long, their enthusiasm to listen to the message is then affecting some of the new players coming in, and then they're thinking, well, do I listen? Do I this? Do I that? How do I fit in?
Yeah,
I don't know.
When I was here he is. It's George. George, you're gonna like this. You're gonna like my next point. So when I was a holiday rep in Greece for a few years, this is such a random little segue, but let's go. So basically, when I was in Corfu, Cabos, we had 2 airport days a week. Let me tell you why that was relevant. What people think, what the hell is Kev talking about? You had your Monday arrivals, then you had your Friday arrivals, and if your Monday arrivals had a good time and booked all the trips, and I had the best holiday ever, they tell all the Friday arrivals, and that would knock on for your season. So you'd have the most amazing hotels, you'd be making loads of commission, your vibe would be really good, it's great. If you had a bad lot of Monday arrivals and you didn't particularly get them on the trips and everyone had a negative time, they tell all the Friday arrivals. And you could have 2 hotels next to each other. One was doing absolutely terrible. One was doing brilliant because it's the vibe, it's the feeling, it's the atmosphere, it's the aura. So I think the point you make there is absolutely right. Maybe, just maybe, like you're not getting that same level of positivity from the new guys because the old guys are a little bit annoyed. My theory number 2, to back up the point about Unai's methods maybe not being as effective as they were, is have quite a few of our players maybe reach their peak. Was qualifying for the Champions League, was PSG victory on the night, albeit a loss, over the tie. Was that the best it's going to get for some of those players now? Is it now downhill for McGinn, for Mings, for Digne, for Watkins? I'm not saying it is, but have they all peaked at a certain point, and now maybe we've just seen the best of them. Even a Tielemans, all these players that are obviously been so good for a couple of years, are they now not quite at that level at the same time as Unai's methods not being good enough?
George, welcome to the show. Welcome to Kev's Theories. This is theory number 2. What are your thoughts, mate?
It's going to be a new podcast series, this, by the way, Kev's Theories. I'm going to start going on to conspiracy theories after this as well. Like, Unai's a reptile. Yeah.
Yeah, evening, everyone. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, we come on yesterday, didn't we? And we had a little chat about this. And sometimes just a feel-good factor can go as quickly as it can come, can't it? 1 minute, everything's rosy in the garden. We're in the Champions League. We're beating Man City. We're beating Arsenal. We're flying high in the league. And then sometimes you have a couple of setbacks. You might have 2-3 setbacks all in succession. The rots seem to have set in. Maybe the FA Cup semi-final. Fair play. We bounced back all right from that. But then, obviously, the Man United game is what I think it really is. That's just really set everything in a downward trend. The whole summer was ruined, wasn't it? The players looked like it just, I don't know, just
Man
felt
United
like
come back to haunt you again, George.
They never stop. They've been ruining my life since I was a little nipper, and it still carries on now. But it can't all be doom and gloom. We get a bit carried away sometimes, don't we? My mate actually gave me a bit of a reality check this morning. Me and my friend Paul were both Villa fans, and we were chatting away. And he's listening, and he was like, "Lads, we're about 4 weeks into the season. Like, you two are talking like, the manager's out, you're getting relegated, And I sort of looked at him and I thought, you know what, you are actually right. You know,
He's not.
we've
He's
had it
wrong.
all our own way for a while, haven't we? And now it's going
George,
the other way again.
George is wrong. I'll tell you why he's wrong. Well, you know what? I actually thought that when I saw a couple of the clips clipped up. I remember thinking, Rich did one on one, or I can't remember where it was on TikTok or Insta, and I was like, "Come on, Rich, it's only 5 games in." But all jokes aside,
We
there's
don't beat Sunderland on Sunday. I'm
yeah,
worried.
yeah. I'm telling you, right. This is the issue. There's no positive signs.
I get that.
There's like nothing. The cohesion with the coach and the players. I mean, Rodgers not taking a penalty, and apparently this never practiced. Nuno's got no idea. I've got no idea how good my post is at delivering post. I just no idea. Like,
I'm sure you'd be top notch, Kev.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does he? Attention to detail. That's why, George. But how does he not know how good Rodgers is? So that's just absolute bananas talk from Unai. The defense is not conceding loads of goals. That's probably the one thing that you can say. The midfield's doing nothing. The attacking players, I mean, honestly, us three as a front three would be more effective than anybody right now. Should have seen me last night, to be fair. I scored. Anyway, forget that, right? But, like, there's no... The positivity doesn't seem there. The team spirit doesn't seem there. We've played properly like average teams as well. I mean, could you have asked for more than Newcastle with the whole summer they've had of not being able to bring anybody in and the negativity they had with the whole Isak scenario, followed by Palace, where we really should have been up for that one. We owed them one after they ruined our chance of the first time of winning the FA Cup since 1957. Followed by Brentford and to Keith Andrews when they've lost all their good players, right? Followed by Everton. Everton always in the relegation zone. We ain't looked like beating any of them. So I am positive, and let's not get carried away. But there's no good signs. There's nothing positive.
That's the key for me, and I'm caveating that with I'm absolutely behind Emery to, he deserves the time to turn it around. But I'm also of the opinion of, like, we've seen these things since last season. We've seen these signs of not improving in certain areas since last season. And we've seen the mindset of the players in certain games when they should be winning, on paper, should be winning, or at least have a really good chance of winning, and they choke and they bottle it. So that's a mindset thing. So we've seen that. And then, as Kev said, going into this season, right, I understand we've had uncertainty with selling players and bringing players in. But all of the big players all came in to pre-season training at pretty much the same time. They all pretty much went on the same tour. They all played in the pre-season games. So whether they were coming in, slotting in or slotting out, if they were going or not, or if they were getting transferred or not getting transferred, they still had the time to practice and to set up in a certain way. And we haven't seen anything since the season started of any type of team cohesion, of any shoots of recovery. We can't even turn around and say, well, do you know what? We've created so many chances. We look like if it just does this or just does that, it's going to click. Or if we put these chances away on Sunday against Sunderland, they're going to get an absolute tonking. Like, we've had so many of those times over the past, and even with Unai Emery, where we lost 3 or 4 games in a row, where we lost to Leicester and Arsenal, and I can't remember who else it was when we lost 3 in a row. But we were like, look at the entertaining football, look at the chances we're creating. Someone's going to get a beating, we're going to turn this around. I can't see any shoots of recovery. All I can think of is we're going to scrap a 1-0 victory from somewhere, like get a penalty or it'll bounce off Watkins' arse or something and go in the net, and then we'll have maybe a moment to cling on to. But there's nothing that I can grasp to say, right, this is something that's going to pick up. Not even like Sancho and Elliott as such. Like, they did okay, but are they going to be the inspiration for us this season? Really?
They're not the answer, are they? They're not the answer. Shall I go into theory number 3?
Yeah.
Some of the players think they're Elvis, and they're not. And I think maybe the hype's gone to some of the players. I mean, Rodgers' performances in a shirt for Villa for the last 5 or 6 games, right? I mean, honestly, it's just embarrassing. Anyone can have a bit of drop off, but this guy's been linked for £100 million plus moves. Plays pretty well for England, apparently. I don't really watch England games. I'm not that bothered, but he's been I don't want to call players out. We can all have a bad game, right? It happens. He's been abysmal. I mean, his touch, his energy levels, his goal contribution, like creating. I mean, it's just non-existent. Maybe it's not that. Maybe he's got something going on in his personal life. Maybe there's other things that we don't know about, right? And if that is the case, then I will stand corrected. But I think some of the players maybe starting to get a little bit ahead of themselves. Watkins is unbelievable pre-season. He scored 5 in pre-season. It'd be amazing. He's getting no service, right? But is he working hard enough? Is he doing as much as he can be doing to create chances for himself?
This is what we talked about yesterday, Rich, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That he's trying to play. Emery seems to want Watkins as a penalty box striker. He's the one telling him to sit in the box and do nothing else. We've seen what Watkins was before, always drifting, grafting out on the wings. Emery doesn't want that. So I think Watkins is relying on getting some good service, which he's just not. But with Rodgers, I completely agree with you. I was thinking this all up until like this morning. I woke up and I suddenly think to myself, look at like Foden, look at Cole Palmer, gone on similar trajectories as Rodgers at the start, absolutely smashing it, getting in the England team. But then look at Foden, Foden has a season of his life. Next season, he's nowhere. He's on the bench. Look at Cole Palmer, dropped completely off after Christmas last year. But the difference is they can just throw another £80 million player in to replace them, and it goes under the radar. But if Rodgers isn't performing for us, that's our main outlet. I just wonder if we flogged Rodgers too hard over the couple of seasons he's been here, because he plays every minute of every game. We've got to the semi-finals of the Conference League. We've gone to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. We've gone to the quarter-finals of the Champions League. It's Rodgers, 90 minutes every time. I just think Emery might have flogged him a bit hard, and he's burnt out a little bit. But that's just another look at it.
That's George's theory number one. My sort of theory, and again, I've been thinking about this a couple of times. I mean, I totally agree on the Rodgers point, and I totally agree on the Watkins point. And I think, look, right, there's an element of Emery trying to get a style of play and bring that into the team, and maybe, yes, there's probably some mitigating circumstances with bringing Sancho and Elliott into it and integrating them into the team. Marlon, he doesn't fancy him. There's no way he doesn't fancy him. And then Guessond, oh mate,
I thought he was shite last night, really bad.
But anyway, we're not going to write people off, as Kevin said. We're not writing people off. But he's getting a way of playing, and you can give him that, right? He's trying to work out a way of playing and way of bringing these players into the game, and you can see that he's trying to do that. But what I see from the players on the pitch is almost hiding behind that style, right? So with Watkins or with Rodgers or whoever it is, they're just saying, well, look, I'm doing what you've told me to do as a player. You've told me to stay in this space, boss. I can't run into that space, or I can't run back with this player because you've only told me to get into this, stay in this area. And it's almost like hiding behind the system. And you can see it with and without the ball. Like there's players there was a perfect moment yesterday with Morgan Rodgers where one of the midfielders had it and he was running through, and it was kind of like the borderline between when does McGinn pick it up or when does Morgan Rodgers run back. And Morgan Rodgers started walking and the player just ran past him, and then it was one of the midfielders' jobs to try and tackle him. And that's a sign where your team's not in sync, because you would do that job for your teammate. You would go back a bit further for your teammate. And it's the same with Watkins. Like if he's staying in those areas, yeah, fair enough, he might have been told by the manager, but there's times where you have to drop in. There's times where you have to come deep to get the ball and get involved in the game. There's times where you have to make a run, an unselfish run, so that someone can make the run behind you. None of that is happening right now. I haven't seen one midfielder make a run beyond Ollie Watkins. And that to me is a team that isn't doing the extra, isn't going the extra mile, is hiding behind the system. And that needs to be worked. That is the fundamentals that needs to be worked first, because you ain't going to create anything if that's happening. And that's why it's so easy to play against right now.
Rich, you kind of covered my theory number 4 then there a little bit. Is that the work rate and desire? Like, You know, like yeah, you got a system and that kind of stuff. But I mean, I don't think we're outworking teams at the moment. I mean, maybe someone might show me stats that might say that we are, but from the eye test, what I can see, don't look like where's the desire, where's the fight, where's the energy levels. I mean, if you see it all the time in football, in like cup competitions, right? You can get a team that are lower ranked that can give it everything they've got, you know, to play a higher ranked team. I mean, there's been cup upsets all the time, right? We're playing teams right now, and we're getting outworked pretty much by all the teams, at least in terms of the what I can see. You know, how much are we creating stuff out of nowhere? How much are we really sort of like prepared to die for the cause? And yeah, I think if you've got a great system that works, that can get you out of a bit of trouble. Once people start to work out your system, I mean, we talk about identity, right, and style, right? We were synonymous early on from the very first game of Unai coming in, when we did what we never did. We blew Man United away, 3-1 win at home against Man United. First time in what, probably back to the you'll win nothing with kids, team. And it was a hallmark of us. We'd blow teams away early on. We played that high line. There was a lot of intensity. We attacked with real ferocity, you know, and whether they were sometimes hot and cold, but, you know, whether it was a Diaby, a Ramsey, a Bailey, now all no longer of this parish. They've all obviously moved on. You had the maverick nature of Duran in recent years. And if you look at it now, we're just a blunt object, really. And I think Elliott's a really, really good football player. I'm not convinced he's what we needed. Sancho's been homeless for years and doesn't seem to ever settle anywhere. And when was the last time he was actually consistently decent? You know, obviously Barkley's got things going on. He's not the player obviously he used to be. McGinn has never recreated his Scotland form in terms of scoring goals. Rodgers is nowhere to be seen at the moment. Marlon, absolutely right, Rich. Clearly doesn't fancy him. Gesson, we're not going to write him off yet, but he's new to the league. Might take him a bit of time to get up to speed. And Watkins don't look like he could score a goal at the moment because he's not getting chances. So you can have the best defence in the world. If you don't look like you're going to put the ball in the net, and we do not look like it. I mean, I was thinking the other day, this might have been talked on a pod that I've missed. Can I not think of any good chances we've created in the league game other than that one where it was that hopeful ball that Watkins should have scored, you know, over the top? Can you think of any?
Palace.
Yeah, any. Can I not think of any other chances? Buendia had a shot which was speculative and kind of, you know, nearly deflected in. Any good chances?
No, I was there on
already
Saturday.
pressure.
And...
I thought yesterday, when Gesson come off, we had our first spell of like looking like we were on top of the game for a bit. But other than that, I can't really think of that in any game this season. It feels like we've just existed in games, just sort of not hanging on, but just staying compact, you know, but with no punch.
Yeah, yeah. And
what was
look,
it like yesterday, George? You were there. I know a lot of people said the atmosphere was good. It sounded good on the TV. The fans were behind the team and seeing the effort in parts. But I still felt like Brentford looked threatening when they went forward, and I felt like we didn't.
Yeah, no, exactly that. I mean, yeah, the crowd were really good. It was a proper old school crowd there last night. I mean, it was 15 quid a ticket. And I think a lot of like the ones that you see at away grounds now, like they're getting tickets through however they're getting them. They shouldn't have got no real right being there. Last night was the old school were there, you know what I mean? And it was Unai Emery's current Blue Army for like 10 minutes straight. And we did our part, mate. It was really good. You know, it got to about 70 odd minutes though, and it kind of died off. I think we wasn't being encouraged by what we were seeing, so it kind of quieted down a little bit. But yeah, the away fans did their part last night. Yeah, as I said earlier, there wasn't really a great deal in that performance. I just felt we did get up a little bit ahead of steam, didn't we? But in our best period of the game, of course, is when we concede our goal. You know, we were right on top at that stage, and it was looking like if anyone was going to get another one, it was going to be us. But then they score a great goal out of nothing, didn't they? And I think that just took the wind out of everyone's sails, crowd and players.
But let's not forget as well, George. Right? Again, I'm not wrong. I'm not writing off some of these players, right? I mean, Kev Jean's good comment. You know, writing off Sancho. I'm not writing Sancho off, right? I'll give him a chance. Absolutely give him a chance. I'm just making the point that, you know...
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's more, are these the players that we need? And are these the players that are going to score us 10, 15 or create 10, 15 goals?
And if you look at the Man United game as well, the 4 league games this season, if you look at the Carabao Cup game, right? So, I mean, okay, you could say anyone can have a bad spell of games, but there's just nothing. There's nothing to go on from any of them. And yeah, we played Brentford last night, and maybe we were on top for a bit. They made 10 changes.
I know, mate.
This is a Brentford team that's lost all of their best players and their top manager. And, you know, I think Keith Andrews might go on to be a fantastic manager. But come on, in terms of the squad, I mean, at one point I was thinking, oh, Liverpool won the league last season without making many changes. So maybe we'll have a good go at it this season, with the quality of these players. At the moment, if we finish top 12 at the moment, I'll be amazed with what I've seen so far. And it could click, and Sancho might turn out to be Dortmund Sancho, right? And Elliott might be driving it through, and maybe Onana comes back with Kamara, and we start to really get older games, and Watkins starts getting chances, and Guesson catches fire. I hope so, but right now I can't look at any of our players. I can't see anyone in our team other than Watkins scoring more than 5 goals this season. I mean, seriously. I mean, if you look at when we're going forward, we can't seem to thread a pass together. We can't seem to commit a defender. The delivery's been terrible.
No one's shooting.
Where's the running? I mean, it says it's one final quick one. It says a lot, right? Buendia is our best attacking player this season. Buendia. I mean, Buendia was supposed to be gone. He went on loan last season. Like, he's not even supposed to be here, and he has been our best attacking. In terms of, he's trying to make something happen. What's going on?
I think we worried. I said this again yesterday. I don't want to repeat everything we chatted about, but I think we're worried. Emery is too obsessed with control. We control. We dominate. We what's his little words he always says? We more or less dominate the game. Sod dominating the game. It's all good and well having the ball and looking like, oh, we're the team, but teams like Brentford, like you say, they weren't worried about dominating the ball, but when they get it, they try and make something happen. Whether it's diagonals, long balls, they just they're doing something, whereas we're just getting it and just trying to pass it around, and it looks like, oh, Villa are looking good, 60-70% possession, but what does it come to? Absolutely nothing. Everything takes too long.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. We're trying to. I love his Twitter page, Alex Berwick, and he was talking about like Emery looks like he's trying to play down the wings, but like, with all due respect, if Matty Cash and even Ian Maatsen, if they're your main attacking outlets, then you're asking questions, because neither of them right now get to the byline. Every time they get forward to the opposing fullback, they cut back every single time. And you saw it yesterday. Mats was trying to give it to Sancho, then they give it back, and then it would go to Bogard, then it would go back, and then it would end up going back to Pau Torres, and then you go back onto the right-hand side, Cash would play a pass to Guesson, who would either give it away or he'd manage to fumble it to Cash, then it would go back, and then it would go back to... Like, no one
That's 5 minutes there you just described. That's just a waste of 5 minutes, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, and then you think, well, Brentford just organised themselves, 2 banks of 4, or a 4 and a 5 and a 4, and then as soon as they go in the ball, boom, Ouattara on the attack, spring the attack, holds it up, brings someone into the game. Then you've got Damsgaard on the ball, you've got Carvalho on the ball. Like, we did it once in that second half where we broke quick and when Sancho hit the post. But it's really difficult. I don't understand why. There's loads of ways of getting through a team that is gonna put 2 banks of 4 against you. You've got to have deep runners from midfield. You've got like players coming off the line and deep runners from midfield. You've got to have players who can beat someone. Well, we're meant to have players who can beat players. You've got to have shooting from distance, because then if you get something on target, it might bounce. You've got to have fullbacks that overlap. Well, we're meant to be doing this, but none of those, not one of those strategies is coming to fruition, and that is what I'm worried about. It's not the manager, and it's not the quality of the player. It's what are they doing on the pitch, and what are they showing in terms of any sign of improvement or any sign that this is going to turn around and all of a sudden it's going to click and we're going to get 4, 5, 6 wins in a row. Because like you said, Kev, to have any opportunity of challenging for Europe right now, we need 4 or 5 wins in a row.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say is this as well, right? And this is probably the last of my theories, right? Is we got to look at the recruitment. I mean,
100%.
The players that we brought in, right? I mean, when he's on it, I think Onana's great, right? There's obviously has his moments. He's pumping his fist to the fans. He smashes one against Newcastle. A couple of early goals last season. Leicester away, West Ham away. He's going to be great. He's been mostly injured. He hasn't always been first choice. Maatsen was in the big money signing. What's that? About 85 million for the two of them. He ain't really played, has he? Really much, to be honest. Marlon was a waste of 25 million. You know, Gesson, was that the best use of that money? You know, could you play Jimo Aloba? And are you losing much? And then maybe spend a bit more money on another wide player who's going to be real quality. Could we not have used? I mean, let's be clear, right? I don't want to keep coming back to this old news. There's zero doubt in my mind that Grealish would have added something to us. You pay a bit more money his wages. Don't sign Marlon. Don't sign Marlon. You don't play him anyway. So what? Just use that money on Grealish's wages, whatever. You know, there's players out there that would have made us better. Did you see the Everton team? That we got basically what a result for us to get 0-0 against Everton. They've got Idrissa Gueye and Irobanum in centre midfield. They've got O'Brien
It
at the
was a
back.
poor game. Such a poor
with
game.
Garner. Garner's a midfielder. O'Brien. They've got Beto. Like, George, you're better than Beto. Like, and this is a team like that. They had 3 or 4 chances against us and should have beat us. This is a team, right? We play them with Yuri Tielemans and Ollie Watkins and Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konsa, Martinez, McGinn, Morgan Rogers, the great hope. It's I can't tell you the disappointment I've got. No positive signs, nothing good happening. I'm going into this Sunderland game with absolute trepidation. I've predicted us to lose in pretty much every game this season, other than Brentford.
Brentford, you changed your tune.
I'm going to go 2-0. It's time. What was I thinking? I know we didn't lose the game. I know it was like 1-1, but
I nearly got it right. I got the score right.
You did. You got the score right. You just didn't get the penalties right. Yeah, well, look, I've got one more theory, and then I will get into the comments. We've got nearly 300 in the chat, which is absolutely amazing. My rants as well have done wonders for the subscribers as well. I don't know why people like seeing me lose my head, but we're on the march to 10,000. Please help us get there. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, help spread the word of the channel. I think there's like a hype button or something that you can do as well to hype up the channel. Ooh. Please do that as well. Get the word spread around about the channel. And yes, I will get in the comments. Please keep them coming. I've started them as well. Getting lots of different views. People saying they're sick of Emery. People saying things that aren't working. I've obviously got people on the positive side saying give it time. So I will give airtime to all of those comments. But one of my other theories is, I think this leads to kind of maybe a bit of dressing room discontent. When you've got the situation with Jacob Ramsey having to leave, you've maybe got Emi Martinez was going to go and then he didn't go. You've got players who have taken pay cuts to stay with the club. This is I spoke to the Every Week We Follow lads yesterday, and it was kind of both me and Gary on that channel kind of had the similar points, and he was saying that is there a situation where you've got worse players still at the club in the perception of the current players there, worse players still at the club on more money than players that have left? What I'm talking about here is Ramsey was sold for 40 odd million, and we're keeping Donyell Marlon, who's on 140 grand a week reportedly. So in the perception of players, we're keeping worse players than we've let go. And then have we also got a situation where there's players who've taken pay cuts to stay at the club. One, do they feel like they're doing the club a favour because of that? So there may be a sense of entitlement. And two, is there a situation where other players maybe were touted at taking a pay cut and then haven't taken a pay cut? Is that causing a little bit of dressing room discontent?
Well, they've pleaded poverty all summer, and then on the last day they go and splash 160 grand a week on Jadon Sancho, who's going to probably sit on the bench half the season. That's probably why they're pissed off.
Yeah, and also like talking of taking pay cuts. What about taking penalties? Like, why were some of our players not taking penalties last night? That's all that about.
I'll tell you what, you could have bet your house on McGinn missing that. The second he walked up, I said he's missed. He's already missed. You could see it in his face. He didn't fancy that one bit. I know he's only gone up there because he's captain, but he didn't fancy that at all.
And why is one of the most creative players in the league last season, one of £100 million player not taking a penalty? I mean, it's just, what does that say? Is that something to do with mentality? I mean, I remember watching that Man United penalty shootout recently, and Sesko took the 10th or something. I remember thinking, you're supposed to be like one of the best strikers in the world. Like, I don't know what it is with players these days, but you'd assume if you have a fire, you send out the fire brigade. If you want to score a goal, you play your striker. I'm just it might sound a bit mental, but I look at this, mate. You put all this together, George, Rich, put it all together, all these series, right? Recruitment. attitude. Maybe a little bit of an unrest in the camp. Clearly, all of the talk around transfers, it go into the last day of the season. Martinez is in, Martinez is out. What's going on? All that kind of stuff. Is Watkins going to stay? Is Rodgers going to move? Our best mate Ramsey's gone. Everyone's really sad. All this stuff probably doesn't help. These are professional footballers, paid a hell of a lot of money. They got to perform better than they are right now. And it's not just the performances; it's the attitude and the drive and the desire. Unai, for me, absolutely nowhere near saying moving on. He's done wonders for this club and he deserves an opportunity to turn it around. And yeah, our hands are tied a little bit by FFP, but we've spent some money on some players that aren't doing it over the last couple of years. So there has to be some criticism now of the recruitment team. And there's players in our team that want to be playing in international major competitions next summer, World Cups, the likes of it. And at the moment, they don't look like they could be playing. I mean, you said it earlier on, George. You kind of, you've got withdrawal symptoms from the Champions League, and I said I got withdrawal symptoms from the Championship. At the moment, I wish we were playing like Chef Wednesday. That 4-2 at Hillsborough. What a match that was! Like
it's not.
Yeah. Oh, George, I didn't even know we could have had a beer. Anyway, like we don't. It's no fun, is it? Like you literally, I was most pleased about the other day. We played Palace at 7 o'clock, didn't we? 7 o'clock on Sunday night. At least he didn't ruin my weekend. do you know what I mean? Like if next time we've got a Friday night game, I ain't watching it. I hate myself for this. I'm the most optimistic person in the world, and Villa have done this to me. What are you? How dare you? Oh, it's upset me so much.
With the transfers there, as we're saying. I mean, I had a real. It doesn't matter what I say. Who am I? But I sort of had a real problem with Munchie, or I thought I did. I just think like the recruitment has been shit, basically. But I read there was an article, I think it was Tanswell, and he was saying that at Seville, basically, Emery was reporting into Munchie. Munchie was like the head honcho and all that. Munchie was like picking the players and Unai was the coach. But apparently now it's Emery. Emery's the head, like the proper head honcho. He's telling Munchie who he wants and Munchie's supposed to make these deals happen. And if that's the case, I think Emery, I think he's a bit like a kid in a sweet shop at the minute. All his best work at Villa has been coaching players that wasn't, that were already there. He's got the best out of players, Dean Smith's players, Steven Gerrard's players. But other than Morgan Rogers, I can't remember whether Tielemans was his, but Tielemans was obviously a great bit of business on a free. But 2 years, where's all the rest of them? I think you've got to take the power off him and just say, listen, you're a top coach, but you're not a bloody purchaser of players.
This goes to Kev's point about the kind of, has there been a bit of a plateau of the players that were at their peak and around their peak at that time when we beat Arsenal, Man City, and then went into the Champions League and did what we did? There hasn't been any succession planning, and I've said this a couple of times. Ian Maatsen, and some of it's down to chances given by the manager, and some of it's been given by obviously those players continuing to play well, and some of it has been by not being given an opportunity, or those players just not being good enough.
Well, you said it last night. Last night was the first time he's really played. Like there was 7 Unai signings in that team last night, and we were shit. We couldn't beat Brentford's reserves, so I think that's a damning indictment. All right, it's one game, but that's a bit of a damning indictment on the recruitment, isn't it, that we've done in last year or two.
Well, you know that some of the cavalry, you're desperate for some of the cavalry to return, aren't you? You're desperate for Tielemans and Kamara to get back in the midfield.
Nice to see Kamara back late on, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're desperate. You're pretty much desperate for Tyrone Mings to get back in at the back again, particularly against a team like Sunderland. Ian Maatsen has flattered to deceive. So you're thinking, right, Luca Dean back in as a bit more of a solid option, and all of a sudden you're going back to 2021, 22, 23 Aston Villa, and like all these players that we've signed and we've given them hype, Onana flash in the pan, Maatsen flash in the pan, Donyell Malen not given an opportunity. I'm not writing these people off before people get in the comments, but they have to look at themselves and either A, do better, or B, we need to look at giving them an opportunity, or C, the recruitment just hasn't been good enough for these players, because they should be coming in and taking the place of the players that have keeping that continual growth and continual improvement. But sadly, we just haven't seen it. And as you said, George, they've been paid a lot of money, some of these players.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
were like, when Smith was in charge, I thought our recruitment was bang on. I think Suso got the sack for it, which was a travesty, really, considering we stayed up in that first season. But Suso and Langer, they were doing the right thing. You think back to the signings of like Mings, McGinn, Konza, Martinez. You know, even
Louise.
like Matty Target done all right for a couple of years, didn't he? But we were buying sort of younger players with room for growth. Right, the expectation probably wasn't what it is now.
Conza, Louise, Watkins.
Yeah, you know, we're paying not reasonable fees, weren't they? 15, 20 million, most of them players. And we've rewarded them as they've gone on. And I think that was a good strategy. And like them players, you know, all right, whether they're plateauing or not, they've earned their money in Villa because they've been part of that success.
Of course.
But ever since then, something happened when I think it might have started when we got Coutinho. I mean, I know like they'll all say, "Oh, Coutinho, he was the big name signing to raise our profile and attract, like, make us a bigger brand." But since then, it's like the recruitment's completely changed. You've got at one end, we're trying to buy like experienced mavericks like him. Then we've done Asensio, we've got Rashford in. And then at the same time, they're buying like, still banging like 10, 15 million on these youngsters from abroad and then just loaning them out. And sometimes, you know, we're just not even seeing them, are we? And it's just
George,
what's gone on.
There's another point I was going to make, right? We talk about recruitment, as in we talk about the big ticket items, right? The Daniel Marlon, Ian Matson, Amadou Onana type signings. You know, there's been a lot of signings like a Lewis Dobbin type signing, you know, which we kind of put to one side as being for FFP. But if we've got such a great recruitment team for the last 3 years, basically, or nearly 3 years, isn't it, since they've been here? 3 years November. Such a great recruitment team with the best eyes across Europe. And, you know, I've talked many times in the past, in the early days of this era of, like, you know, Monchi's little black book, you know, other than Morgan Rogers, right? Who have we signed, young or experienced, really, that's made an impact on this team significantly right now? And the answer is, I think, is no one. Really, I mean, Onana's had his moments, and Matson had flashes, and I think Matson's a really good player. By the way, I was really buzzing when we signed him, and I think Onana, you know, we wanted that athletic, rangy midfielder, but I mean, if you look at what this team, I know we've talked about this whole like great thing for Unai, and I think he's done an amazing job with that team. But I remember thinking this last season, looking around that pitch and thinking, Martinez, Cash, Konza, Mings. You know, Digne obviously was Gerrard, but still, what, 3.5, 4 years ago now since we signed him. McGinn, Watkins, like, you know, there's a lot of these players in this team right now that have been here for quite a bit of time, and you know, you're even bringing Buendia back in. That, you know, this is your answer. And if you're not supplementing it with not just the star names, but maybe the younger players that they can start to make an impact on the team, you could go through the Premier League and you could pick players that Crystal Palace have brought in, right? That Bournemouth have brought in. Well, do we not have access to it? Do we not have access to a Belieber from Brighton or a Semenyo? We not get access to a Munoz or a Wharton, you know, or a Mateta. Are we not available for these players?
But when he bought Morgan Rogers, that was such a hit. You know, I'm all right. Not every player in the Championship is going to turn into a Morgan Rogers, but surely there's got to be more. You know, he's seen the eye for one. Surely, where's the scouting now in the Championship?
Well, the other thing as well, George, is that, and I'm not being the one to sort of champion younger players, because I know the gap, I know the jump from sort of under 18s, under 21s to first team football, but like, you look at some of the players that come through that get chances at Arsenal. You know, Nwaneri.
Yeah, exactly.
Lewis Skelly, this kid, this Max Doman or whatever he's called, 15, 16. Are you telling me, right, that the under-18s team from last season that won everything, the Premier League under-18s, the FA Youth Cup, the beat Man City, the much vaunted Man City to win the Premier League Championship, you tell me that there's not one player in that team that can really challenge for the first team? Yes, I know Aloba's had a couple of games in the squad, but surely, like, some young enthusiasm, a player to come in and sort of kick the other players up the backside to say, look, this young lad's getting in. You know, a bit of vibrance, a bit of, you know, just something for people to get behind. Like, they don't even seem to be getting an opportunity. Hemmings we were buzzing about him in pre-season. I don't know whether he's injured. He might be injured, but he hasn't had a look in since the season started. Aloba has looked fairly sharp when he comes on. I mean, he looked way better than Gesson in 5 minutes. I'm sorry, he did. And like, and that might be just getting used to the league, might be getting used to the pace of the game, but Aloba's got that already. So
Yeah.
this part of me,
I
I don't
hear you, mate.
understand it. I don't understand it.
Rich,
I
I
tell
hear
you what,
you,
you want
mate.
to stop. Tell you what, I want to stop doing is, I don't know whether it's Unai, I don't know whether it's Munchie, but stop fluttering our eyes at like players that are coming. Basically, I'm not writing off Sancho yet, but the Sancho type, Sancho, fucking João Felix, Asensio's, players
Yeah.
like that. They're obsessed with
So
Paquetá. Obsessed. He's
Joe
obsessed with number
Felix, you say?
10s. Yeah, obsessed with number 10s that don't want to really play for us. They're
Yeah,
doing us a favour. Rashford is doing us a favour.
it's a fair point.
Sancho now thinks he's doing us a favour.
It's a fair
Get the
point.
hungry players that want to play for Villa, not mercenaries that are just trying to keep their wage at a certain level or don't really give a shit.
Oh well, guys. Any good Netflix recommendations? I was watching Slow Horses, but my free Apple TV subscription ran out, and I just don't want to pay for it at the moment. I've got so many other things. So, any good like documentaries on Netflix? Any good series? I ain't even
It's a
joking,
good
by the
one,
way.
Rich. Time. Have you seen that? Sorry, Kev. Sorry. Have you seen Time? It's got
Sean Bean.
yes, yeah, and then there's another one after that. Really, really
Ooh,
good.
I might get on that. Yeah, that's good. Rich,
Not
anything for me?
time.
one
It's
was
not
better.
time to go, is it?
Got anything for me? What did everyone have? Everyone in the chat, what did you have for dinner today? What
We are going to get into in a second. We are going to get into how can we turn it around? How can we turn it around? But I've got to get into comments. Look, there's so many. Jay said 50 million on a cheerleader with legs made of cheese. I wonder who that is. CC, spot on, George. Kev, it's 5 games. It really is a few games. Alistair says, Rich, well said about Uno not giving any of the youngsters from our successful youth team a chance. CC, also a bit of personality and character, which is boring right now. I don't see any life in our players. All our wonder kids are off strengthening. Other teams, says Just Rye. And I've got so many. Peter says, given what we've seen, I'd rather have Yassine, Oshkan and Zepakina Redmond playing, to be honest. And we have too many players in the first team that are too close to 30 and look like their legs have gone, says Brian. I think we've covered that in terms of the succession planning. Duncan said Elliot and Gesson will come good, but it might not be under this manager. Michael said we've got more than enough good players. When it does click and settles down, we can massively turn it around and get back to business. Well, this will be leading to my next point in a minute. James says, why aren't all the Villa reporters asking the hard questions? I'll come back to you on that one because I think that's more to do with Emery's answers because he doesn't answer any questions at the moment.
More or less.
Stealthy Carper says, when they are bad, it's Unai signings. When they do well, it's a team or Munchie signings, I note. Ant says, the recruitment haven't been played enough. And Alan says, we must remember that we're just another club making up the numbers in the Premier League. Sorry, George.
Sorry, mate. I shouldn't have jumped in there. Carry on, mate.
No, you go.
No, I'm just saying, like, they're saying the recruitment, the players haven't been played enough. But as I said, if he's picking these players, surely it's an error of judgment if he's picking his own players and not playing them. Do you know what I mean? So alarm bells are ringing, though.
Yeah. That's. I think that's part of the point. You know, why aren't they getting picked? Few things are starred. Mark said, I'm not calling for Emery yet, but things need to turn around very soon. Jay said, not definitely in trouble, not long. Red, further UEFA restrictions are going to come in January. Curry said, Emery asked Rodgers to join the huddle. Emery was trying to form. Starboy wasn't all that interested. Kevin also said, my gripe last night was why wasn't Martinez on the bench? So with a minute left, he comes on for the penalty shootout.
Really good point. Good point, isn't it? What have you got to lose doing that? Like, win the game? Win the tie, get through.
None of them penalties, did he, at all?
Yeah, Lee said, it's time to go.
you know Bizzart. You know, like remember Scooby Doo cartoon back in the day, and they take the mask off. Is it Olsen underneath? Because those penalties last night, it was like he was about 3'2". He looked like he didn't get near any of them.
I know. The last one, he just dived totally out of the way, but well, yeah, it's difficult. What Ant says, it's a perfect sum of signings, culture, tactics, and burnout.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
So yes, the point about the tough questions. I mean, Kev, I'll come to you, and then Villa 946 has the sort of final point that we want to make in terms of talking tonight. But with regards to the pointed questions from the journalists, I mean, when Unai's asked these questions that are fairly just innocuous, particularly about why Emi Martinez wasn't in the team and, what's happening with the tactics, that sort of thing, he doesn't really give answers. So I don't even know if you would get a point, if you would ask sort of quite a sharp question, whether he'd give an answer. Is that a sign of Emery sort of being a bit sort of prickly, a bit out of sorts?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think we have to detect the responsibility here. Look, I love the fact he was defending, his goalie that he had, I thought was going to be around. And look, all jokes aside, it's early days with Bizot. And I'm sure he's actually showed some pretty good signs, hasn't he, in terms of his shot stopping and stuff, right? Just a joke about penalty shootout. But remember early on with Emery, he was very, very much, we're going to be accountable. We're not going to moan about the refs. We're going to take the fact if we lose games, win games. Last season, obviously, there was a few comments because one, it starts to be a bit unfair. But you're absolutely right. I mean, we all know there's probably some frank questions that could be asked about a number of things we've discussed tonight: atmosphere, the tactics, the sign-ins, the desire, the goal scoring, the team cohesion and bonding. But Emery will not answer any of these questions, and he'll kind of probably use the language barrier somewhat to kind of move it on a little bit. So he's walked on water, hasn't he, in his time with us, and this is a crisis that I back him to get through this one way. Whether he has to bring a few signings in January, whether maybe it is time to move a couple of these players on. Maybe I'm going into the solutions a little bit here, but someone said in the comments, I think it's probably a pretty good point. Maybe we shouldn't extend some of these contracts. Maybe we should have sold Martinez. Maybe we should have sold Watkins. Maybe we should have sold McGinn. Maybe we should have. And it sounds crazy. I'll ruin your whole team, Kev. Get rid of everybody. But maybe we should have done a bit more spring cleaning. A lot of these big teams do it. Maybe they've got the wherewithal because they've got the funds to be able to do it because of their revenues. But maybe we've become a bit stagnant and a bit stale. And the change is as good as a rest, they say, don't they? And what we thought was going to be a scenario of well, these players have been around each other a lot. The Champions League, they're going to want it again. Another thing we haven't spoke about as well much, and it pains me to say it, but we said it at the back end of last season when obviously we had that Man United result. These players, when it comes to big moments, have really struggled in recent times. Big matches when they've needed. Other than the PSG game, to be fair to them, that was one obviously. But then it was too little, too late, right? And it's
exactly. We weren't the favourites to win that game, were we?
It's easy to be plucky when you're 5-1 down on aggregate, right? It's easy to be plucky then, right? But I even go back to the Olympiacos game. That was just a massive opportunity. You've obviously got Man United last season. You got Palace.
Sheffield United at home to go top of the league just before Christmas.
To go top, to go top. So all the players, do they have the mindset right now? The kind of players that need to get a result against Sunderland to get the season up and running? Because we said that about the Palace game. Then about obviously Brentford. Then about Everton. Then about Brentford in the cup. You couldn't ask for an easier 5 games considering all the team situations. This is the thing. Maybe we need a big team. Maybe we need to play someone we're not expected to beat to galvanise us a little bit. But I don't want to be saying this. I just can't see it happening. So from a solutions perspective, probably need to move a few people on that maybe we weren't expecting. And the other solution is FFP needs to be scrapped, and then we can just properly go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Alistair said he agrees with you, Kev, just about spring cleaning with the squad where certain players like McGinn, Watkins, Dean and Cash need moving on in the summer. Brian said Emery needs to be supported with new younger players. I think that this season is a write-off. Well, the thing is, he doesn't play them. I think that's part of the problem as well. George, in terms of solutions, because we did have the question from Villa946 that we made, valid points. But what is the solution? Obviously, it was an emergency meeting. We wanted to discuss what is going on. So that's why we've had various theories about what the hell is going on. But we want to talk about the solution. Kev's given some ideas there. A bit of a clear out and a bit of a freshening up. Obviously, I don't think we can do anything about the rules and regulations. But a lot of people in the comments are still saying, look, a good result, a good couple of results here and there, we'll turn it around. We'll get the players back to confidence. Is it potentially just as simple as, just getting a couple of good results on the board and then everything will look a lot more rosy?
It might look a lot more rosy, but I think there's a comment there I've just seen someone saying about the team being at the end of its cycle, and I think what he means there is teams that are not big six teams, they get about 3 years of spending like some serious money, like we have wages, fees. We've gone pretty hard. We've maxed the wages out as hard as we can, and now, like you're talking about Everton there, Kev. I thought he was a little bit disingenuous towards them, but they've just gone through the hard times now that we might have to go through for a little bit, and they're ready to go again now. So obviously they've just suddenly managed to get a Grealish. They've done 30 odd million on a Dewsbury Hall. You watch now Everton sort of start having a go again. Leicester did it. They had their few years up there, but if you don't get the Champions League every time, which we know it's not going to happen, as soon as you don't get that Champions League, you're on the back foot. The rules are made harder for you, and you're going to find that we will drop off. I think we'll be 8th, 10th, somewhere like that this season. And maybe it is the end of our cycle if we can get up there.
I'll take 8th.
But on the pitch, it's hard to say at the minute because we're not seeing any, as you said, Rich, no real routes of recovery, are we? I think Harvey Elliott's going to be a good player. Just from what I've seen at Liverpool, he seems like he's got the right attitude, and he's not come here, has he, with a moping team. He's going to try and get the boys up, G us up. Watkins just needs a goal. He's, we know what he's like with his streaks. He's done it every year he's been here, so he's not just turned shit overnight, as we said yesterday. So we've still got good players there, but other teams have improved this summer while we've stood still and maybe gone backwards a little bit. Teams that we thought we were better than them, you'll probably find this year that gap that might have been like that is now like that, or it might have even gone the other way. So sometimes you just have to adjust just for expectations. I know people might say that's a loser mentality, but I think there's a reality to that. We've had our little spell, and if you get that Champions League every year, it keeps rolling. But we haven't, have we?
Exactly.
So you have to then wind it up a bit.
And I think there is an adjustment of expectations. I think we have to do that. I put a tweet out at the start of the season, and I wonder whether that future after adjusting those expectations involves Unai Emery. That's the point. He's a great coach. He's a great manager. Look at what he's done for Aston Villa. What's to say that a bigger team, that the Champions League team, a regular Champions League team without the problems of FFP, comes in and says, "Come on, Unai, we want you to manage us."
But why wouldn't?
What's keeping him at Aston Villa?
Well, if you're going to take Unai, you're going to take him at the top of his power. No, surely now we've dropped off, he's going to become a less attractive option, no?
No, I don't know. I think he's got so much credit in the bank with what he's done with teams, particularly slightly more fashionable teams maybe as well, where you get a team that's got less considerations around profit and sustainability, as Rich says. Is he getting tired of it? Is it too difficult? They've talked openly, haven't they, Vidagani, Monchi, Emery, about how challenging it is, how hamstrung they are by the rules. They've talked openly about the players are talking about it. It's like we talk a lot, don't we, in modern era about people having, moaning about the world and problems and excuses, and then you see people. I'm sometimes one of them, right? On social media might be like, "Come on now, you fix your own problems, right? You stop talking about all the things that are holding you back." Whether that's you can talk about your background, a characteristic you've got, you can use it as an excuse. Villa are kind of using it as an excuse now. It might be a valid excuse nonetheless, but still, you start to get in players' heads that we can't be as successful because of PSR. We are unfairly limited because of these rules. That can start to become infectious around the club. They can start to really think that is the situation. And I look at it and think, I absolutely love Emery, everything he's done, but what's going to stop him now? You make the point is you want to get him when he's in his top form. I actually think in his top form, he's never going to leave Villa because of how much the club built around him. But when it's as bad as it is right now in terms of the morale and the financial rules, if somebody came in for him right now, that's when he might be like, you know what? I'm kind of open to this. And that'll be a really, really sad day, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
He was kind of a better manager though when he's been in them backs against the wall situations with Villarreal, Sevilla. I think things might have actually dropped off since they've given him the keys to the castle and given him a bit too much money he's pissing around and wasting it. When we signed Alex Moreno at the time, when he came in for that first half of season and we flew up the league, didn't we, after the World Cup and got Europa Conference League. When I seen that Moreno, I thought 14 million. He looks brilliant, and he was brilliant for that half a season. And I thought, this is Unai Emery. He's operating at his level, and past that, I think he's just got they've just got a little bit trigger happy with the money. I mean, a team like Villa, if we want to do the money, we can't miss. them players we're spending a big money on have to smash it. You know, Man United can waste 80 million. It's all right. It doesn't matter. They're okay. But we can't afford, like, you know, that's why I lost my head when I see us signing Sancho on the last day. Because you're doing 160 grand a week on Sancho. He needs to be scoring 15, 20 goals for us. And I'll have good money with you now, lads. He's not going to get anywhere near that. You know, if you're paying that top whack, you need top player that's going to be your best player. Otherwise, don't do it. I think we could have got better for cheaper. And that was what Unai was doing right before, and he has done in his, you know, his previous years.
Yeah, and like George, absolutely spot on. You know, it's boxing clever, and we're not really boxing clever at the moment. And you factor that into what you've just said there, Kev, about kind of utilising some of these excuses. And you know, if that's going around with from Vidagani saying how difficult it is and how we didn't know who we had to sell, and then you got players saying it can spread through the club, and it's a bit like the whole, oh, we're playing too many games and the players are tired and all that kind of thing. It's like, you keep saying that enough times and the players are going to be like, yeah, well, boss, I am pretty tired, to be honest. Oh, you know, I can't play next week. I'm knackered. Like, you want to be like, look, we've had these issues. Yes, let's draw a line under it. You're a good enough team to finish in a really high position in the league. Let's get out there and let's do it. Let's show them. Let's use it as a bit of a siege mentality. But PSR doesn't stop you from passing the ball to a teammate. It doesn't stop you from controlling the ball properly. It doesn't stop you from running and giving 100% in a game. And we haven't seen that intensity there. We haven't seen that battling quality from Villa, that getting your head down and starting working hard and working for each other. Like I said, you can see it in moments in games. Players hiding behind the system. Players hiding and not wanting the ball. You know, hanging other players out to dry a little bit by not moving into space for them, not helping them out, and you start to have that. You need some serious team meetings and what have you to call players out. And you know, sometimes, I don't know, man, maybe you just need some of that good old style management where you're grabbing people against the wall in the dressing room and throwing cups of tea around and that, just to sort of get a reaction out of people, just to sort of see what people are made of. Because I don't know, man, it just seems like people are just looking to the next man to take responsibility.
Yeah, or have these last 2 seasons just been a long old slog, a long old slog. A load of players there. I'm not trying to give them an out here, but I guess I am a little bit. But it's players that have been with Villa for good few years, and they've not been used to playing like 55 games a season, have they? For the most of that time. But then, you know, you've got long European campaign the first year, the second year. Now we're about to go into a third one. And as we said, the players that are supposed to come in and take the weight off their shoulders are sitting on the bench. So I just wonder, maybe we're just paying the price for not refreshing things enough and not rotating enough.
Yeah, but they have. I mean, they have had the summer off, haven't they? You know, like it's only it's only kicking a bag of air around. You know, like I know it's difficult and it's arduous and there's more games and I get it, but it's the start of the season. Come on, I know it might take you a bit of time to start getting your patterns of play together, but that's the one thing that we should have been better than everyone else at, pretty much, other than maybe 3 or 4 teams. This team has been together for so long, so we know the styles of play, we know the systems, we can change the systems mid-game. The set pieces are on point, we've got everything lined up. We are better because this team have been well oiled over the years. We aren't seeing any of that on the pitch. You know, I mean, set pieces are a waste of time. You know, attacking wise, it's, you know, I mean, the touch. I don't want to go back through all the issues again, but
let's
just a quick one, by the way. Spag bowl for me, garlic bread, homemade. I like to do the thing now where I kind of cut the veg a bit. Which I'm done. George,
Just to finish up.
Don't answer that question.
Just to finish up. What happens on the weekend and the next 2 or 3 games then before this international break? Like, you know, can you see it turning around? You know, Sunderland away, Bologna home in the Europa League, maybe a little bit away, a home game in a night game in Europe, sort of take the mind off it a little bit, and then you got Fulham at home, Burnley at home after Feyenoord away. Can you see some performances, some results coming through, and a bit more confidence through the players?
Is this for me or for Kev?
Either.
Well, mate, every day's a new day, isn't it? Every game's a chance to, if you're not doing well, to start getting better, isn't it? So We can't just say, oh, because we've been shit, we're going to be shit again on Sunday. It's going to be a tough game, you know. Sunderland spent a load of money. This is where I'm talking about cycles, right? They've just got a load of Premier League money, same as we did when we come up. So Sunderland are now on that upward curve. The fans can feel that. The players can feel that. They're in a good spot, aren't they? Whereas we're sort of, it feels like we're going the other way a bit. But I'm clinging on to the fact that it's been a happy hunting ground for us over the years, hasn't it? I know we've not played them for a few years, but other than Goodison Park, we love playing at the Stadium of Light, and we've given them some good hidings over the years. So we've got a chance. It's a tough game, but maybe it's the sort of game where everyone normally would fancy Villa, wouldn't they? And now everyone will say, oh, Villa are struggling, and we might pull something out of the wool. Might work. Going into Europa League, Bologna. Are the players thinking to themselves, we've said it all summer, what's our best chance of success this season? I'm not saying I want to finish 17th, and I don't think you have to finish 17th to have a good go at Europe. But if we suddenly turned up in Europe and had a good win straight away, and we looked a different side, and you could maybe see the focus going on to the Europa League, well, we've got to back that. But they have to see it through and try and win it. But at least you can see what we're trying to do, a plan. Do you know what I mean? And the season will just look after itself. But we can't just keep doing what we're doing now, can we? Definitely need a win to get us going.
George, you've cracked the code, mate. You've done it. This is the thing. Last season we had FA Cup, we had Champions League, we had Champions League qualification. They're basically going to throw every game this season, put no effort in, and put everything into the Europa League. And you know what? As long as we can just about stay up, we are a 19th place team going away to the 7th place team in the league. I know it's only 4 games, right? But maybe it is that. Maybe it's all systems go Europa League, but it's going to be pretty tricky to keep them. I mean, that Europa League final last season was abject.
I don't
wasn't
think
it?
my heart will be able to take it, to be honest.
No, absolutely not. To answer your question, I can't see us. Maybe we'll get a 0-0 draw. At the moment, I'll be honest.
I'm worried about Xhaka in midfield, as answers there. I'm really worried about him in midfield.
I'd take a 0-0 draw right now. I absolutely would. God, every bit of me wants us to pull a result like I did against Brentford the other day out of the hat, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to go on. You know what? Maybe they need a massive bollocking in the I don't know, the training ground, and maybe there needs to be some senior players shouting and a few punches thrown, and maybe they need a little bit of just something to get the fight going a little bit. A bad challenge against one of them in the match and get that kind of siege mentality.
Get
They need a bit
fire,
bit more of that, don't they?
Yeah. Well, boys, I don't make any apologies for being a bit negative, because it's difficult for us to see the positives at the moment. We want them to come, but I don't think it's wrong for us to point out what we feel like is going on at Villa, and we need to turn it around. We need to improve. I know we've had some really brilliant seasons over the last 3, which means that our expectations are risen, and that's we hold the players to a higher standard, and I won't apologise for that. I understand Unai is a great manager. I understand the players are great, but I'm not going to start saying, oh, well, because they finished 6th last season, I'm going to give them a pass. No, you've got to keep those standards up, and that's what we as fans have to do. We put ourselves in this great position, and we've not had a good start to the season. We need to look at it. We need to look at why. But hopefully, after this weekend, we'll be in a much better position. We'll have a win on the board. We'll be going into the Europa League in positive fashion. Let's all hope for that. Boys, go on, Kev. Kev.
Just a quick one. Try and end this on a positive note, right? No food-related chat, by the way. At some point, it has to get to the bottom before it starts to rebuild. Maybe going out on penalties to Brentford, making 10 changes and not winning, not scoring a league goal for 5 games. Maybe let's just hope this is the bottom and it starts to rebuild from here, and we start to get a bit of form, a bit of confidence. So this is it's
Half-paid DM, Kev. Come on, get it back.
He hasn't said it yet.
And do you know what? Right, there's enough time this season left. We could still win the league. There's still enough points available.
There he is.
No. You know what?
He's back.
We've just got to start piecing some results together, right? And I'm just going to say as well, I really hope these players must be feeling it, right? They must be hurting. Be interested to see how they respond to this, because for us to get to this level of negativity, do you know what? It's it's been bleak, but there's plenty of time to turn it round. Over to them now. Go to Roker Park. You know, Niall Quinn, Kevin Phillips. Show us what you're all about, lads. Come on.
Look, I'm looking forward to the character arc of Kev, piece by piece, getting more and more positive. I think this will be better than being like right at the top and then gradually dropping down. We need to see the build up. So Villa, if you're listening, get the win on Saturday. That's another little step, and then the win on Thursday. That's another little step, and then
there we are, boys.
In 6 months' time, Kev will be just impossible to contain. That's what we need to see. That's what we need to see. Right, everyone. We will be back with a match preview for Sunderland coming up this week. Obviously, match reaction as well. I'm going to the game. I'm taking my boy as well to the game. Obviously, it's a local one for me. So I'm looking forward to that. So anyone going, please do come and say hello. I'll be back with a match reaction after that, I'm sure, and Lions Raw match reaction and all that jazz. So make sure you stay with the channel. Hit the like button on your way out if you haven't already, and hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Help us on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Thank you all for watching, and as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.